Earlier this year, the National Gallery in London showed off this painting as their latest score. The news went absolutely bonkers online, not just because they forked out over $20 million dues for a work by some artist no one's ever heard of, but because it's got something that you just don't expect to see in a religious picture, a weird critter shaped like a dragon, right there at the Virgin Mary's feet. For centuries, no one really got what it all meant. Heaps of people thought it was just the painter's imagination running wild, until some smart cookies did a proper symbolic analysis and showed that nothing in this picture is there by accident. Today, we're going to suss out what this scene actually represents, who all the people are, and why a dragon's playing such a big role in a sacred painting. The first thing we got to get our heads around is that in this curious scene, the Virgin and the baby Jesus are sitting on a ripper of a throne. They both give off this vibe of being distant and serene, almost like royalty, with soft and delicate features that are spot on for the Flemish style of painting back in the day. You can see that same delicacy in the little strands of hair that gently fall over Mary's chest. Pictures of the Virgin and Child sitting on a throne like this one have been around since at least the 12th century, when everyone started getting really into Mary as the Queen of Heaven. That inspired artists to create images of her sitting on a golden throne, known as a throne of wisdom, or said sapientiae in Latin. Here, that throne's framed by a fancy embroidered cloth of honor. Like in a lot of artworks that are meant to show Mary as this noble and untouchable queen, she's handed out with saints who look like they're part of her heavenly court. This kind of setup is known as sacred conversazione, which is sacred conversation in English. In the painting, Mary's holding a white four-petaled flower, a symbol that's often seen as a hint that she's meant to be a fourth member of the Holy Trinity, alongside the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Meanwhile, the baby Jesus is clutching a little goldfinch, a bird that stands for his future crucifixion. The story goes that when Christ was lugged in the cross, a goldfinch landed on his crown of thorns and tried to pull one out. In the process, a drop of Christ's blood stained the bird's head, giving it its distinctive red mark and turning it into a symbol of sacrifice and redemption. Even the wooden steps that the Virgin's throne is sitting on are a nod to the Passion of Christ. The simple wood and the nails you can see remind you of the cross, hinting at the sacrifice that's going to shape the child's destiny. To the left of the throne is an angel dressed in blue, holding his hands near his mouth in a bit of a funny way. Whatever he's doing seems to have grabbed the baby Jesus' attention, because he's watching him with real curiosity. If you have a good squiz, you can see that the angel's playing a jaw harp, also known as a Jew's harp or mouth harp, a little metal thing that vibrates when you press it against your teeth and pluck a flexible reed. That quick movement is why the angel's index finger is raised. He's right in the middle of making a sound. Christ, totally fascinated, seems to be listening really closely to the weird noise coming from the mouth of the heavenly muso. Even though this instrument might seem like a strange choice for an angel, it's not as unusual as you might think. In heaps of medieval paintings and sculptures, angels are shown playing the same thing, maybe because it was an instrument that everyone could get their hands on, whether they were rich or poor. In front of the musical angel, another angel's holding a songbook. Inside, you can read the Mary and him Hail, Queen of Heaven, Hail, Lady of the Angels, which probably goes along with the melody the first angel's playing. Above them, there's a bunch of columns that end in capitals carved with different figures. These sculptures show scenes from the Old Testament, like the grapes of Canaan and the drunkenness of Noah, adding a bit of story and some symbolism to the top part of the picture. And then we get to the woman coming out of the golden shell of the beast, St. Margaret of Antioch. If you look closely, you'll see a dove resting on her left shoulder. It's painted with amazing realism for a heavenly creature. According to the Golden Legend, a medieval collection of stories about the lives of the saints, Margaret was miraculously crowned by a bird that came down from heaven. In this painting, though, her crown isn't made of gold, but a simple garland of daisies, maybe a nod to the French name of the flower, Marguerite. Another story about St. Margaret says that she was confronted by Satan, who turned into a dragon and swallowed her whole. That could explain the critter we're looking at. In some versions, the monster swallows her completely, but she makes the sign of the cross from inside, and the dragon splits open, letting her out unharmed. In others, the crucifix she's carrying irritates the beast's insides until it spits her out. Either way, it's a symbolic rebirth, A real resurrection that made Margaret one of the most iconic saints in Christianity. Seen in that light, the dragon's face, with his mouth open and drool dripping, isn't looking angry but defeated. Its head's covered in spines and spikes that look like they belong to a fish or some kind of fantasy lizard. Its open jaw, framed by delicate whiskers, sinks beneath sad, tearful eyes, and its body, covered in scales that have been painted with heaps of care, gleams with a kind of eerie beauty. And finally, its reptilian wings spread with almost gothic elegance. No doubt, we've seen a fair few dragons in the history of art, but never one quite like this. Now, the question is, why would all these people be hanging out in the same scene like this? To get what the painting's really about, we need to have a look at the bloke standing on the left. But before I tell you who he is, I want to remind you that if you reckon this painting's a beaut and you want to have a print of it for yourself, they are available on our website. There, you'll find over 700 historical artworks to choose from, so you can collect your favorites and decorate your home with them. The video you're watching right now is an example of how you can turn your house into your own personal museum. Worldwide shipping is free, and by purchasing, you'll be supporting my work, so I can continue creating videos like this one. I'll leave the link in the description below. Now, let's continue. The man we see on the left is St. Louis. His serious face and realistic features suggest that the artist intended to portray him as an authentic likeness. St. Louis, or Louis IX of France, ruled from 1226 until his death in 1270, and he is the only French monarch ever canonized. His reputation for devotion, justice, and piety made him the perfect model of the Christian king in the medieval imagination. In the painting, he wears around his neck a large metallic collar, the insignia of the French Royal Order of St. Michael. It consists of 12 golden scallop shells, symbols of pilgrimage, and a central medallion showing the Archangel Michael defeating the devil. His blue robe is embroidered with fleurs-de-lis, the emblem of the French monarchy and, in religious terms, a symbol of purity and perfection. But what's a French king doing here? Louis IX was known for giving certain religious orders a right to use the fleur-de-lis on their coats of arms, an honor that was only given to those closest to crown. One of those orders was the Premonstratensians, a bunch of canons founded by Saint Norbert in 1120 in Prémontre, France. Over time, they became influential all over Europe, even reaching again in Belgium, where they started the Abbey of Drongen, the very place where this painting was first recorded. Everything points to the fact that the painting was commissioned by the Premonstratensians themselves, who had a real soft spot for St. Louis. What's more, records show that in 1608 they dedicated an altar to the Virgin and St. Margaret, confirmed their devotion to both of those characters. After all that dig around, it becomes pretty clear why such a complex artwork ended up in collections as fancy as the National Gallery, and why they were happy to cough up such a staggering amount of dosh for it, no less than $20 million redues. Now, the real head-scratcher is who painted it. According to the museum itself, it's attributed to an unknown Dutch or French artist, but there's no record of who it might have been. In my humble opinion, the evidence is leaning more toward a Dutch painter. The facial details are reminding me of artists like Jan van Eyck, and of course, you need that dark imagination to paint a dragon like this one. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. And before anyone mentions it, yes, I also noticed the baby Jesus' head, but I'll leave the jokes to you in the comments. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.